I just did a very Wisconsin thing. So for many of you in other places that don't live with Wisconsin weather vagaries, what I'm going to say totally doesn't make sense. But if you've ever lived in Wisconsin or Michigan or Minnesota or Maine or someplace that gets a lot of snow and you never know from one day to the next, if 3 days from now it's going to be another 6 inches of snow and 20 below and those kinds of things, here's what happens. You take your Christmas decorations, your outside Christmas decorations down whenever you get a chance. So here's what happened. It was 33 degrees. I had 30 minutes. It was still light outside. We only have 8 inches of snow at the moment. It was dry. I looked at it and I said, let's do it. I ran outside and took down my outside Christmas decorations. Now, a lot of people in Wisconsin they're smarter than I am. So they just put up just the wire of Christmas lights so they could leave it up until March or February or, July if they want to. And no one really knows that it's up there. That's not the way I do it. I've got like this garland that's got Christmas lights interwoven with it. And so it's obvious that my Christmas lights are up, even if they're not lit. And so for me, it's important for me to get them down so I'm not the one that everybody in the neighborhood is complaining about that doesn't he know that Christmas is over. All right. So some people, my Florida friends would say, you were nuts. It was 33 degrees. And by the way, I didn't even have my gloves on, didn't have a hat on. I just ran out and climbed up on the ladder and took everything down, got it all done in 30 minutes and was done. Didn't freeze to death. I'm still alive. The lights are now in the basement. Okay. What in the world does this have to do with anything else? Well, as I was taking that down, I had a song come to mind. Unfortunately, as I was singing the song in my mind, I realized I wasn't singing the right words. I was singing seasons, nothing more than seasons. You can tell I'm not a professional singer by any means. And it's supposed to be feelings, but I realized that what happens is there's a season for things. And the season of Christmas lights on the outside of my house is over. So I took them down. I went on. Earlier today, I was on a meeting with a friend of mine, Eric Becker, who made a very interesting comment. He said, people become so involved in the planning that many of them never get around to actually doing the thing that they're planning. So he's talking about annual plans and things like that. And he says, some people spend days and weeks planning what they're going to do to get some more clients. Other people pick up the phone and call 2 or 3 potential clients every day and they get the clients. And I realized that what he said is so true. That many of us use planning as an excuse to not have to do the thing that we might get rejected from because it's safer to plan because you're not being rejected when you plan. But you know that the minute you do the launch, you put out the ad, you call potential clients, you start talking to people on Facebook about whatever it is, you start doing these things, you realize that you have a risk that people are going to tell you no. And what ends up happening is this fear, this anxiety piece kicks in and that says, well, people tell me no, that means I'm useless. And so oftentimes, without even realizing it, we spend way more time planning how to do something, preventing us from actually doing that thing. My point is this. By the way, what are you doing instead of doing the thing that'll actually build your business? Are you doom scrolling on Facebook and Twitter? Are you reading your emails? Are you building elaborate funnels? Are you doing those things when actually what you need to do is the thing that gets you more business? Let me know in the chat. What are you doing that keeps you from doing the thing that will build your business? That thing may be planning. which is why I'm going to say this. I'm a huge fan of strategic planning. I believe it is vital to people's business. That said, I'm going to say stop planning and start doing. You don't win football games in the huddle. You win them once the ball gets hiked to you. It's time to get out of the huddle and start playing the game. So, my gut feeling is that many of us have not completely figured out our strategy. That's okay. We know what we have to do to start that strategy, to build our list, to get our audience build up to whatever it is. That first part, we don't have to have every element of that whole plan done and approved by ourselves and in a fancy notebook or put up on a plaque on the wall or whatever. We can start the process of building those leads, of getting that first contact with potential customers. We can start that without having the total game all outlined, without having every single element of the funnel created, without having your sales page created and your PLC shot and your videos and everything else like that. All you need is some way to be able to get a lead. That lead can be gotten by picking up the phone and calling people. It can be gotten by running an ad to go to a landing page that gives them an opt-in incentive. But just work on that part. Get that working. Because I'm convinced the single biggest reason why most people fail in their online business and their launch is not because their sales page was bad. It's because they didn't get enough leads in the first place. And so what we ought to be doing is focusing on getting those leads while we build out the rest of the plan, of the strategy that we're going to do. So that's my message to you. Stop planning. Start doing. And while you're doing, you can do some of the planning, but don't allow planning to become the excuse that you're holding off starting because you're not done with the rest of the plan. Going back to my sports analogy, there is no game that I know of where the entire game goes according to a plan. What happens is you run one play and then you see what happens, and then you run the next play and you see what happens. And oftentimes you change it in the middle of the play. And so a plan is great. People can come into that game with a game plan. Here's what we're going to do. But, there is no plan that survives contact with the enemy. That's what happens in real life too, is whatever you plan is going to get changed. So let's not spend a lot of time and effort developing the perfect plan. Let's just get going on doing the stuff. All right, I think I beat that one to death, like 16 different analogies to get there. But the message, I hope, got across to you. What are you doing that's preventing you from building your business? How about if we just stop doing that and do the thing that builds our business? This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.